Hey, welcome. Welcome to another week. Todd and I talking about how to scale our wholesale business to at least 100 properties a year. Todd, how are you doing this week, man?
Doing great. Doing great. Just hopped off the phone. Been melting that phone this morning. We just got to have a meeting. Got some good things cooking. So I'm excited.
Awesome, man. I know you just closed one yesterday, right?
We just locked one in yesterday. Yes, sir. Looks like a good deal. We actually assigned it the exact same day. So all is well there.
I'll see about that deal, dude.
Talk to you about that deal. So it's basically a suburb of DFW. It's a rundown house in really bad shape. There's also a mobile home on the same property. Just a tired landlord and an older man. He's had this property 10, 15 years. Last tenant kind of trashed the place. He doesn't want to mess with it anymore. It's a classic tired landlord. What I think makes that deal is the mobile home next to it that's currently generating rent. That's really the most attractive part, is being able to, make $500 a month while you're renovating the house. And then once you put some work into the house, they get two rents out of that one property. So it's really like all of these deals. It's a win-win all the way around for us, for the seller, and for the end buyer.
That's awesome, man. So talk to me about, like, was this a lead that just came in, or is that something you had to nurture, or?
This was a cold call lead. We had to nurture it for a while. That's kind of the name of the game with the cold call leads, most of the time at least. But I want to say it wasn't too long. It was maybe a couple months of following up. This is an elderly man. I think he's around 80 years old. And sometimes, probably most of the time when you're following up and it's tough to reach people, they are kind of dodging you. This guy, I think he's just an old man with a landline, and they, unless they're standing right next to the phone, they don't know it's ringing. So took a while to get him on the phone, but yeah, he lives down the street. So once we did get him engaged, it came together pretty quickly. But story short, yeah, it was a couple months of follow up.
Couple months is about average. Well, actually, that's actually probably on the quicker side. A lot of times these deals take 3 to 4 months of nurturing. So, but I think you nailed on that. As an older guy, a landline deal, you got to catch them at the right time. You know what I mean? And then, of course, obviously have the ability to close it. So, yeah, on that one, we literally assigned it the same day, which always gives me pause, right?
Mm-hmm.
I always gives me, like, whenever you get a deal and you get I don't know, you sign it right away. I'm like, I feel like we might have left something on the table. That remains to be seen. I think, we look at the numbers. We felt like it was a fair offer. And one of the things I always said, I said this to Todd the other day, I was like, I'd rather burn and turn, especially like on wholesale deals, those are deals that you actually close and put it right back on the market. I would rather, if I have a rule of thumb, if I get 50% of my net projected revenue right away, I'll take it over, having to renovate and have this long sales cycle, a long cycle. So I think this kind of fit into that. Like, okay, we felt like it's a fair deal. Let's go ahead and take it. We're not making a huge one. It's just a single. And I think we're making what are we making on this one? 15?
15, 16K, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but one day, not bad. We'll say.
That
But
would be. Mhm.
it really is, man. Especially right now, it's getting a little bit harder on several fronts. It appears like I'm a lead gen guy, right? And we are finding it hard even in our space. Now, there's a couple of things that we did on our space that really didn't help it. It kind of fucked it up. But and I'll walk through that. And then also when it comes to cold calling, another hard part, here's Todd will know, will be a testament to this. Is like you get so many leads, sometimes it's hard to stay on top of them adequately, right? So let's dive into that. I'll start with the lead gen part with me, and because Todd and I have an agreement, I'm the back of the house, he's the front of the house. I take care of the lead gen operations, stuff like that. He takes care of the sales component, anything that has to do with sales, dispo, all that stuff, right? And so when we started, like our lead count per month is about 250 to 270. That's typically where we're at. But really, the qualified leads are less than that because agents are just going to submit leads, and then you have to have like what we call QAs, quality assurance people that listens to them, and then go, okay, this is an actual lead, and that's been hovering about 150, 160, something like that. But we're trying to get almost double that. That's where we really want to be, right? And it's been unbelievably difficult because we've been recruiting, and the way we, train agents and I feel like obviously it's the correct way, is that you get them not on a script, but you really drill them to have conversations. That's why our agents do really, really well. The problem with that is that most agents, like most people, don't want to do anything that's difficult. They could just go to another wholesaler or another whatever and just go off like a robot off a script, right? So our retention rate on these agents have been less than 50%. So if we need 5, we got to train 10 because we know 5 is going to be gone. That's one problem. Another problem is like when you have to have somebody stay on top. We call it ADD. So it's agent, dialer, and data. Those are the 3 pillars that you have to be on top of to run an effective cold calling campaign. And you have to monitor that all the time. So my top person was leaving, so I've been filling her role. Luckily, she's came back, but when she's been gone for the last 2 weeks, or not gone, but transitioning out, we hired this other guy, and man, he looked good. Like his resume was off the charts. We're talking about he built Rocket Station. I don't know if you're familiar who that is, but it's a huge VA agency. He was super well articulate, great ideas on how to scale, all the things you're looking for. Matter of fact, I was a little bit concerned because I was like, it sounded a little bit too good to be true. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And sure enough, it was, man. I mean, he got in there and dude, within 2 weeks, like less than 2 weeks, probably 10 days, things just fell apart. Like lead gen dropped. Everything was dropping. Our clients were not happy. They were calling me. I'm looking at our KPIs. They were dropping as well. And that's how fast things change. This is what I do for a living. You know what I'm saying? And so it's been a struggle, man. We are on the struggle bus. Luckily, we're getting out of it now. And it's just simple as this. This is where he messed up on. He messed up on the data piece, the data and the dollar piece. When you are running, you got to make sure your data quality, your data, whatever you want to call it, your data quality is good. So if you're calling that same list more than once or twice, every single time you call it, there's a diminishing return. He wasn't on top of the connection ratio to make sure that we need new data in and rotating the data. And so that way you're constantly getting better leads. And then the second part was the dialer. The dialer piece, you have to monitor not only the avail of the agents, that means the wait time between calls, but of the number score, like their phone numbers. You got to rotate the phone numbers. And a lot of our phone numbers weren't being rotated. So those calls weren't going through. And that's why it was such a big drop and in a really, really quick period of time. So if you guys are doing this at home, man, make sure you pay attention to those 2 things because they're so easy to overlook. So another thing that we did is we're incorporating direct mail. And we've done 3 small, mail pieces, 22,000, 2,500. And typically industry standard is 0.005, right? Right now, our response rate is 0.002. That is 2% of 1%. And it's been pretty bad, hasn't it, Todd?
Been a disaster so far. It has.
It has. And we haven't put a lot of money into it, probably about, 6,000. But the response rate is really what's like bothered the little shit out of me. So now we're figuring out how to come up with different copy, different templates, different things to get their attention. And with that being said, it's too short of a sample size to like completely abandon it. But it's hard when you're pumping 6,000, 10,000, 20,000. And you're not seeing a huge return on it, right? And one of the things that most people would do is like just cut it off right away. And it's, man, that impulse to do it is pretty.
What is the sample size, you think? How many mail pieces need to go to each person before we say, hey, this isn't it. We need to give it.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, because in our database, what we're only mailing to people that we can't get on the phone, right? And typically, rule of thumb is that they have to have each person has to have 4 to 6 mail pieces before they really pull the trigger. So, when you're mailing one person and you stop the campaign on the second or third, you're just killing yourself because you're halfway there, and they're just not ready, right? You're just literally burning your cash, that's kind of the rule of thumb. Like every campaign you do, dude, I don't care if it's PPC, I don't care if it's direct mail, I don't care if it's cold calling. There is a timeline that it takes to really get the full effect of it, right? So even on PPC, like say PPC, you have experience with PPC. I've had some experience. I'm not a PPC expert by any means. You'll have some campaigns that are just rocking and you're going to get leads right away. You're going to get a bunch of people that are call in that are retail leads or realtors or whatever the case is. And your impulse to change your ad or copy or whatever, if you have one or two bad months, it's going to be pretty high. And that's the worst thing you can do to that campaign. You got to let it run. Same thing with direct mail. Now with cold calling, it's not really like that, man. It's more like just staying on top of the data, the dollar, and the agent. You know what I mean? Like there's pretty consistent lead flow. As long as you stay on top of those, it's just more work. It's not one of those like with direct mail and PPC where you just pretty much pay and it's done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what was your experience? So I know you've had some really good experience with PPC.
Yeah. But I mean, you nailed it. You got to set a budget and commit to that and see it through before you can really see if it's going to work. Whether, as you mentioned, with the direct mail, you got to send them at least 6. That's the number I've always heard too. That's the magic number. With the PPC, yeah, I think actually we talked about this the other day. It takes a while for the algorithm to really start working. Yeah, it's learning, right? For a month or so, probably, depending on what you're spending. So you just got to commit to probably roughly 90 days and commit to that budget, see it all the way through. If financially you're not ready for that, don't get started. Hit the phones because again, as you just mentioned, you can just put in the work on the phones. You don't have to put in as much money if you're willing to do the work. And no matter which one of those you're doing, talk to enough people who are doing it and can prep you in advance before you just start throwing money at something. Make sure you have a good grip and a good plan of attack before you just go out there and start, blowing your money.
Yeah, that's great advice because I talk to people all the time. And then part of our sales process on Skipforce and now it could be Leads Pro is like, how much money are you committed to advertising the next 6 months? You cannot ever go below it. You could go above, but you could never go below. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's such a big piece of the equation, man. It's gnarly, especially if you're starting off with not a lot of money. Right. Because you're kind of damned if you do. You feel this way at the beginning. You're like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. Like, I'm putting the money in, but I'm not seeing the results. But shit, if I cut it off right now, I'm never going to see the results. I'm cutting my nose off in spite of my face. Right. So that's why, just like Todd said, man, I don't care if it's $500. I don't care if it's $1,000. Just commit to one. And also a big one is commit to one first. Dial that in because more times than not, the problem is your sales problem than the lead problem. Right. Mm-hmm. So commit to that and just dial into the sales portion of it to make sure you're not giving up on leads because that's super easy to do. We're doing it. We did it. We're doing it right now. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, giving up is the right word, but we're not like
neglecting them a little bit.
Neglecting that way. It's just like, man, they're not ready. You know what I mean? Or something like that. I'm going to let you run with this one, man.
Not exactly sure what you're asking me. Can you run it back again?
Yeah. So we were looking like we had a team meeting today, right? Mm-hmm. Todd's a hell of a salesman, by the way. So everybody knows that. We've had podcasts on it. If you don't know it, you'll find out more. Go to some of our previous episodes on sales and you'll hear it's very simplistic, but it's very, very effective, right? The sales part is the easy part. Talking to people that are motivated, right, is the easy part. The hard part is several things. One, staying on top of somebody, especially when they're not answering the phone, and allowing that person to go a longer distance without contact, even though we know there's pain. And then another one, which is a little more difficult and takes more skill and a little bit more experience, is to be able to see a different way to monetize the lead rather than just a cash purchase, right? So those are things that like we talked to today about someone like, hey man, this one might be an innovation deal. It's a possibility. You know what I'm saying? Have we talked to them about that? Stuff like that. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, once you get past the original problem of generating leads, then especially if you're cold calling bring a lead a single day like us, you can drown really quick if you don't know how to identify, the hot versus the warm, cold, and kind of triage them in a way. Because most of these leads are all follow up, right? Like you said, the average deal cold call is 90, 120 days out. So it's very easy to put them on the back burner, forget about that, or somewhere in between, or just not know, being able to see the pain in the situation and say, you know what, they told me 3 months, but I'm going to call them in a couple of weeks and see what's going on, because I know that they have problems and I know that they'll probably be ready before that. So a lot of it is, the initial conversations, digging in, getting the full story, knowing exactly what's really going on, being able to triage those leads into, hey, these are the people we need to smother 100%. These people will follow up, but they're not as much of a priority, so to speak. So that setting that triage like that and being able to visibly see, these are the people, again, that we need to harass. These are the people that, we'll call them, but it is not as important. That's very important, because if you can't see that, they all get jumbled together, and that's when stuff starts falling through the cracks. If I'm calling all these 100 people instead of the 40 most important, well, while I'm calling those 100, maybe if I'd have just called the fewer folks who are real hot leads a little bit more instead of everybody the same, then I would have got a deal. But instead they sold somebody else because I'm trying to touch base with this lead that's not a hot lead to begin with. So you got to figure out the story, know exactly what's going on, and triage it accordingly and organize it accordingly. And then, of course, just follow up like a madman. These people, they're slippery. Motivated sellers are very slippery. They are hard to get back on the phone. So, yeah. And that's just another reason why when you do talk to them, you got to dig, get the whole story, figure out what's going on. Because otherwise it's going to make it tough. You may be chasing them forever, but if you got the whole story, then maybe you realize, hey, this person isn't even a follow-up. This person needs to go in the trash. Whatever it is, you figure it out and then can, respond accordingly and either put them in line or get them out of the way. One of the two.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that is 100%, especially since if you're cold calling, you're just starting to cold call. At the beginning, it's not going to be a lot, but these leads stack up like a lot. I don't know how many we have in our system. I think like 2,000 leads or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. 2,000 leads that we're supposed to follow up on. You know what I mean? I mean, talk about things that get lost right away. Another thing that people mess up on, especially sales guys, especially most people that are going to be in this industry or be a sales guy, they don't really put in great notes. They don't probably tag the right disposition, meaning, is it really a hot lead? Is it really a cold lead? Like, for example, I went in today and we were talking, and I'm like, hey, what's going on with this lead? What's going on with this lead? I was like, and Todd was one brought up. It's like, man, that says it's a hot, but it's not really a hot. It should have been this because they're not really ready, right? But it wasn't in the CRM. In the CRM, it looked like whatever. So managing your leads, managing your time, man, super important. And I think another thing that Todd nailed is when you get them on the phone, there's a couple of things. There's two parts of this. When you get them on the phone, your job, obviously you want to close them as quickly as possible, but that's not the reality, right? The reality is people are ready when they're ready. And what you need to do is you need to have a mindset like a farmer, like you're just trying to, water that seed and get a little bit more of the story, understand their situation a little more. That's a win. That's a winning call, right? Now, if you could close them, fantastic, right? And then the second one, which we've been battling, not battling is the right word. because Todd and I have two different ways of doing this. And so we're figuring a way to merge it right now. When you have somebody that is ready to go, and Todd, you could debate me on this. I'm a big believer that you don't send the contract until they're ready to sign. Like we're going to go together and sign it. Like I'm going to call you because we're virtual. We do everything virtual, right? So if I send you a contract, I want to get on the phone with you right away and kind of walk you through things. And let's get this contract done right now. Where has Todd in the past has always been like, we got a deal. He's structured to where it's kind of ridiculous for you not to take this. You go one of our past episodes as well. And then, you go ahead and execute it, get it back to me. Where's the point?
I don't do the face-to-face, but and going forward, training people, that's probably the best way to do it. But I've just been doing this kind of form of closing for so long. I feel like I'm kind of stuck to it. But I think both ways work, and we probably should train the new people to at least try the face. Like my philosophy is just, I'm going to get them so committed. They're going to tell me 4 or 5 times, yes, they're signing. Nothing's getting in the way of it. I want to make a deal this minute. Okay, we're going to send the paperwork. You can have it back in an hour. When can you sign it? So I'm just going to back them into a corner and give them every single objection that they've thrown at me. What about the brother you said you talked to? What about the thing you said you needed to do? What about that insurance check you were going to get? I want to put every objection on the table and allow them to hit me with it. And to the point where they're like, no, that's not an issue. That's not an issue. I'm ready to make a deal. Send the paperwork. I'm going to sign it right now, or I'm going to sign it tomorrow morning. Send the paperwork. I'm going to sign it. It's done. Okay. Now they have backed themselves into such a corner to where, is it impossible for them not to sign it? Of course, they cannot sign it, but they're lying. There's no way around it that they just lied to me if that's the case. And sometimes
liars don't have. We know that. Sellers are liars.
Of course.
So do you ever get burnt? Yeah. And what percentage of that?
The deal we closed yesterday, I had to chase him for a week to sign because he saw one line in there that he just didn't like. So I had to kind of coach him through that, explain to him more what it was. So yeah, of course it happens. But I think maybe some face too. Neither one is foolproof by any means, but it's just, again, giving them every single objection possible to where they have nothing else. They have no more ammo or excuses, if that makes sense.
Truthfully, the merger of the two is probably going to be the most effective way, and I think you're right. We're gonna get our new guys. JT's a new guy. He's doing really well. He's just been with us for a couple of weeks. He already got his first contract, and I think his pipeline looks pretty good. First of all, he has the right disposition too, so that's a great one. But I think we've done this so long. I've done this so long on the virtual side. I know you have a lot of experience with it as well, and I know a lot of friends that have done on the virtual side. The biggest thing that trips it up is that there's two things. One, when you're sending it, there's something about the contract they might not understand. It scares them off a little bit, just like you said, right? Especially in our contract, we have something that tells them that we're going to file a memo if they back out. Then they'll have another legalese that talks about specific performance, meaning that, hey, you're liable for a lawsuit if something happens. That kind of stuff scares people, right? So I like to be on the phone with them because I like to be able to, when they go through that, I'm explaining to them as easy as possible for them to understand, and how it benefits them even, right? Especially the specific performance ones. Like, hey, this is a binding contract. If I don't fulfill it, guess what? You know what I mean? I'm liable for a lawsuit. I don't want to do that, as well. So it always is a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? Let's just be real about it. Because a lot of times we can throw up most people like, hey, listen, I'll take a look at it. Or my wife doesn't get back to 10 o'clock tonight or whatever, right? And then you got to be available for them. But it just knocks out any of those, I don't know, I don't understand, I don't like it, moments. And then if they are so adamant for not doing it, that also tells me that that's a smokescreen, that they probably weren't that serious anyways. You know what I mean? But there's going to be some people that's just how they think. They're like, listen, I need some time to look at it and think about it, right? And that's kind of why you have to weigh those people, because if you push those people too much, they're gonna be scared away. They're gonna be like, oh, yeah, forget this. The guy's too pushy. So, right. So I don't know.
Almost every kind of sales thing that I have in my head comes from the car business. And I think where this started with me is I used to do the finance in the car business. And what I noticed is, there's that long contract. If you ever bought a car, there's this long contract, a million different numbers in there. I didn't want them reading through there, right? I wanted them to sign your name, right? So what I realized though is the more I would focus on that piece of paper and be like, okay, well, let me do this. And like, do you have any questions? And, is everything okay with the paperwork? The more they would look at it. And if I would just roll it out and say, sign here, and then they would look at each other like, all right, let's sign it. It's like, if I acted like, whatever, don't really care, sign it or don't, people just sign it. But when you're like, hey, is everything okay? Do I need to do this? Like when I read through it and you're like, are you going to sign it? People get real like, whoa, hold on there. Let me see what's going on here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I get it. Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of just like, I'll send it to you. But again, I am going to put them in the corner. Like when you said earlier, oh yeah, send it. I'll take a look at it. I would have said, take a look at it. I thought you were going to sign it. What do you mean take a look at it? Like, of course you'll look at it, but you're going to sign it too. And if they hit me with I don't know, what if there's something in there? Then maybe okay, well, let's set a time that I can review it with you if it's about what's in there. But if they say any other words other than directly, yes, I'm going to sign it. I'm like, tell me more. What do you mean you'll take a look at it? Like, it's not a PDF. This is a DocuSign. So yeah, I'm going to make sure they verbally tell me this is done and I'm signing it. And if not, specifically, I want to know why. And if it's something about something like in the contract, then I do need to start setting that appointment at that point. So
I think it works for you because you're really, really good at sales, right? And not everybody's an expert at sales. They just have to learn it. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. Now, with that being said, I 100% agree. If you're like if you have some kind of weird nervous energies in any kind of sales, it's like that commission breath thing. It's going to drive people away. They know about it right away. You know what I mean? But whenever I go through the contract, it's always just like, let me explain this to you. And it's like, I'm going to break down what this sentence is in like 2 or 3 words. You know what I mean? Are you good with that? Do you understand is more importantly? I got to tell you, man, I don't think I've ever had a time when I'm going through the contract and they go, and I don't get the deal. Like they're not signing it. By that time, if there is anything like, I don't like this, I could tell them right then, what about it that you don't like? Let's talk about it. That's not important. I'll scratch it off. Or how about this? You know what I mean? Like a lot of times we have like a standard 60-day, for example, 60-day close in our contracts. Now, does it take us 60 days to close? No, it doesn't. We could close as quick as 7 days. But sometimes we're dealing with people with a lot of dirty title and we don't want to have to go back and forth with amendments. We just put it out there. So people get all freaked out over that. Like, it's going to take you 60 days. Like, no, it's going to take me whatever. What do you need? You know what I mean? So I'm able to like just boom, little things like that. I feel it works better live, so, but
100%. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. When you're there to handle it on the spot, absolutely. You're in a better seat. No doubt.
Yeah. But you could also circumvent that by saying it beforehand as well. Also, the people that I always want to avoid is the people that you had that contract because you're talking to several other people, right? And then they go to the next guy and go, hey, Todd offered me 150. What's your number? Well, I'll give you 150, 151. Shit, we just lost a deal over this, right? And it wasn't because of your fault or anything. It's because past AM wasn't following up with this guy. He literally was in our pipeline and signed with somebody else just like within a couple weeks ago or something like that, or this week.
He had a contract with us and he signed with somebody else, right? I think that's
what's that what it was? I thought he was in our pipeline. I should know this. It was in our pipeline.
It's probably 2 different leads that we're talking about. So, because it's probably
man, the one that was the other AM's lead, and JT called him.
Oh yeah, so we're still trying to clean up our previous AM's mess, basically. But Yeah, he neglected this lead, told him he was ready to go. It for whatever reason took a month to not get a hold of him. JT steps in, gets a hold of him right away. The guy's like, well, I was about to sign a contract like tomorrow morning. So we couldn't really recover from that because he'd been talking with these people for a month. And they just kind of had the rapport, basically, is what I think it was. But if we would have, stayed on top of that guy, we would have had that deal 100%.
God, it drives me freaking nuts, man. I mean, stuff like that just it's a gut punch. You know what I mean? Because I know we're both competitive guys, and I'm just like, man, in the tough part about that. This is why going back to staying on top of your lead's so important. We would have been able to offer him a little bit more than what he got. Actually, we actually did, right? Which kind of kills your credibility a little bit. Like, why didn't you just give me that in the first place? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this is the power of rapport. He's like, I have already established a relationship with this guy. I have already committed to a number with this guy. I'm going to go ahead and move forward with this guy. Right.
I bet they did the same deal. I can almost assure you they matched our offer. But I mean, if it's the same deal, is he going to go with the people who called him yesterday or the people he's been speaking to for a month? That's pretty tough to overcome.
Yeah. So that's the thing, man. I mean, that's the thing that we're going to clean up. We're obviously going to clean up the lead gen. We're obviously going to need to clean up, stay on top of our leads a little bit more. And also the biggest, I think, takeaway from here is on both sides. When you have the wrong person in your organization, man, and you recognize it, sometimes it's unbelievably difficult to let them go because it's going to hurt you in some way. But man, it's going to hurt you way more if you keep them, right? It's like the opportunity cost of keeping the wrong person in your organization in the wrong seat. Maybe they're just in the wrong seat. Who the hell knows? Whatever. They're not getting the job done. It is unbelievably bad, right? So that's what we're dealing with this week. We're correcting it. There's no doubt about it. We've always said that we're going to be real with you guys. This is not an easy business. You know what I mean? And Todd and I are experienced, so you got to give yourself a little bit of grace if you're just starting out.
100%.
All right, man. Hey, wrapping this up, buddy. Anything you got on your mind, or what are your thoughts?
Oh man, I got a lot of people to call. I'm about to hop back on it.
All right, man. Let's get on it, man. I got some work to do too, guys. See you guys next week. Peace out.